It's Talk Point again on Lagos Television, and we're happy to have you join us again. Today on Talk Point, our focus will be on the calls for better accountability from state governors and local government chairmen and others as it were. Of course, once there is accountability in a nation, there will be more transparency and things will get better because there will be more monies spent in the right direction to ensure that the people who are supposed to be governed get or feel what governance is all about. It's Talk Point again, and we thank you for joining us. My name is Omololu Rosonwo. Today on Talk Point, we will be linking up with a guest in the studio who is Lekan Oni. Lekan, it's nice to have you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir. I'm pleased to be here once again.
Yes, thank you for honoring our invitation. No, there's something that bothers Nigerians and everyone, ensuring accountability in whatever is done. Now, let's put it in general terms.
Yes.
What do we mean when we say you want accountability and transparency?
What it means, in my opinion, is that, you see, when you say accountability in governance, it means that whatever is being realized by, government or people in government or by our leaders, when I say realized, or whatever is put in their care, should be used judiciously for the purpose which it was meant for. For example, government has revenue, government has budgets, government has, different sources of revenue where money comes in from, and the way it works is that in a democracy, there's always a social trust put in leaders, put in people in government by the people. When they vote, that's a social trust. There's this contract, social contract between the people, between the governed and those who are governing them. So when all of these things that are put in their care, what they are governing upon, what they are leading for, is being put into judicious use, and the adequate use of it for the people, which it's actually meant for.
Yes, with that explanation, when we relate it to governance in Nigeria,
yes,
has been level of transparency right from 1999 when we returned to democracy?
Well, in my opinion, the level of transparency and accountability has been very, very low, considering where we are. Nigerians believe, and it is not just a belief, but it's the truth, that if what that have been committed into our leaders' hands, into people who have been voted into office since 1999, have been judiciously used by them for the people, and for the betterment of the country, we won't be here today. Nigerians will be crying of dilapidated infrastructures, decayed infrastructures, hunger, and what we have, weak institutions, and so on and so forth. So I believe that from 1999 till now, those who we have elected into offices, those who we have even appointed, those that have been appointed, have actually not used, have actually not been accountable the way they ought to. And that's why we are here today. It cuts across, government circles and all of that, from the federal government to the state, to the agencies, to federal agencies, to state agencies, to the local government, to the ward, to the councillors and all of them. So we have this issue of, non-accountability among all the tiers of government. And that's why we are here today in Nigeria.
Now, before we ask of some of the solutions that may want to arise based on what we said, let's look at last year and now.
Yes.
Before now, the allocation committed to states and local government was not as high as what we have today. Looking at what we see currently from the information available to us,
yes,
for June alone, which was opened in July, for June alone, there was 1.3454 trillion naira, whopping. Over the years, we've never had it so much.
Yes.
And it's going to be shared between 36 state governments, the Federal Capital Territory,
yes, and
also the local governments.
Yes.
Now, looking at that, some states are smiling to the banks.
Yes.
With as high as 35, 37 billion. Some are also smile into the bank because
Yes.
it's a little higher than what they used to collect.
Yes.
About 7 billion.
Yes.
Now, a trillion rather, a billion rather. But looking at this, have we seen commensurate development or in terms of infrastructure, in terms of capacity building?
Well, let me say that, you know, we have always looked at the angle of this removal of fuel subsidy. You know, we have always looked at the pace, and little have we discussed about the gains of the removal of fuel subsidy. One of the things that the president said that, you know, one of the reasons the president usually give about, you know, the reason for removing the fuel subsidy is because those monies, the subsidy payment, is being paid into the pockets of the few. I'm laying a background how we arrived at the increase in monthly allocation to the state governments and local governments, and even the federal government purse as well. So, you know, this is one of the gains of the removal of fuel subsidy. The president said that when this fuel subsidy is removed, instead of government paying these monies into the account of few Nigerians, you know, and all of that, let's have this money, use it to work for the people. What it means is that there will be increase in allocation, there will be increase in revenue, you know, into government purse. That means that instead of me paying this 1 trillion naira to this, let's share it among the federal, state, and local government level so that there will be more development. And that's why we have this increase since the stoppage of the fuel subsidy payment. Since, you know, the beginning of this administration, we've had this increase every month, you know, and we've also had more savings, which they call, I can't remember expressly now. So the government has also had more savings. The government have been sharing between the three tiers of government more money for development. But unfortunately, have we seen this development in our states? Have we seen these monies working for the people? You know, sometimes ago, the president says that the governors should spend the money and not spend the people. So what do we have in all of these states? Have we seen more infrastructure? Are we seeing more? When people talk about hunger, when people talk about, you know, hardship in the country, when people talk about, you know, there's nothing to show for the 1 year administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I say it is time that we ask our governors questions. For example, if you look at Delta in June, if I'm not mistaken, Delta received around 46.9 billion naira.
That's huge.
Yes, in a state. What do we have in Delta? What has changed in Delta State? For instance, I just use Delta as an example. So what that money is supposed to, you know, do is that there should be rapid transformation. There should be increased infrastructural development. There should be more hospitals. Our hospitals should be equipped, you know, across the state. I could remember, I think maybe Arebesho last time in Osun State or Oyoto last time, that there was a time Osun State used to receive around 1.8 billion naira. Thereabout monthly allocation. Now, if you check, Osun State is collecting around 7 to 8 billion naira monthly. You know, so if you look at all this increase, there was a time we did an analysis that Nasarawa now received 187% increase in their monthly federal allocation, and so on and so forth. So we expect that this increase in monthly allocation, and don't forget that when you say it's monthly, it's every 30 days. Once you receive today, in the next 30 days,
you're receiving another one.
You are receiving another one. So it means that we expect that there should be increase in developmental projects across the state. Not just that the federal government should be asked questions. What are our governors doing with all of this money? So these are the reasons why the president is saying that the governors should come up. Even there are extra funds. You know, we saw 2 weeks ago where the federal government distributed around 476 billion naira, you know, among the 36 states and the federal capital territory. Ondo State alone received around 13 billion. That's apart from the monthly allocation the state will receive for that month. So what are these 13 billion? What are these 20 billion? And so on and so forth doing? I saw a table whereby Lagos State local government, 20 local government and 37 LCDAs in Lagos State received 26.2 billion naira in the last month for the local government to share among themselves. So all of these monies, if you look at it, are expected to, you know, to kickstart a development, to stop hunger and many more things across the states of the federation.
Yes, it's good that we have laid that foundation now there so that everybody will be aware that more monies are
Yes.
coming into the coffers of the
Of the
state
states,
governments
yes.
and of the local government.
Yes.
Now that these monies are coming in, with the judgments that came in also, how is it going to be? Is it that the state governments are going to release the monies to the local governments, or that the local governments are going to receive this directly from July? Because they just shared June in July.
Yes. Well, the way it works is that, the Minister of Finance explained this 2 weeks ago in a media briefing about the Supreme Court judgment. There's a 90 days window whereby all the accounts will be regulated. That's 90 days is 3 months. So I don't think that the next federal allocation coming will go directly to the states. There are paperwork that needs to be done, and before the local government renders the account directly to the federal government and all of these things. So I think that from that explanation, that judgment is in effect, and there's a committee that has been set up, to check the mode of operation, how smoothly all of these things will go through. But as it is, what we have now is that we expect that the next allocation will still go into the state. I think they call it joint account or something across the state, which will still go into the state. But there's more awareness. Everybody around is now aware that money is coming to the local government. An huge amount of money is coming to the local government. I belong to the some WhatsApp platforms where people are already questioning their local government chairman and said that, you see, now money is coming to you directly.
We want to see development.
And everybody can go online. There's this website, Budget NG, where you just input, once you register on that website, where you just input your local government, and it brings out to you the last money that was accrued to the local government. People have been doing it since that judgment came on. We see some local government receiving between 550 to 600 million naira in a month. We see local government receiving 450 million naira, 350 something million naira in a month. So what are they expected to do? After you have paid salaries, the money that is remaining, we are getting to a stage whereby, in fact, it is going to be possible that some local government will be publishing their expenses.
In terms of million or billion?
Millions are for local government monthly.
I need to just clarify.
Million. Some local government receive between 550 to 600 million naira monthly. If you go to all these Akwa Ibom states and check what they receive monthly, I know a local government in Ondo State that received around 455 million naira in a month.
Meanwhile, they weren't getting up to that before.
No, what happens is that those monies were coming before, but what happens is it comes to the state purse. And once the state receives it, what the state governor does is that they just pay salary, local government staff salaries, and after pay, everybody goes home. And then, these are the reasons why the president has said that all these things must stop. Development must go directly to the grassroots. And the first step to do that is that their money must go directly, and that's the financial autonomy. The monies from the federal account must go directly to the local government account. Nothing like we are sending it to the state governors or the state account, then they redistribute. No. So now what happens is that the money goes directly. Once all these formalities are done by the committee set up by the federal government, and once that is done and the paperwork are set, they send directly to the local government for the usage of the local government chairman. And that's where accountability can now come in. There's no excuse again where you say you just saw 450 million on paper. We did not receive all of this money. Now this money comes directly to the local government chairman, who stays within us. And like I said, the people can now ask that, okay, this month you received 355 million naira. Tell us, show us what you have done over the period of time. You have paid salaries, maybe you've paid 50% out of it, you've paid 50% salary. The remaining ones for the next 6 months, what have you done with it? We are getting to the era whereby even local government will begin to publish their expenses for a particular period of time. And that's where accountability can come in. And that's where we can actually experience real development across the country.
Now, since the window is still there for 3 months now,
yes,
then they may be hiding under the guise to say, look, until the committee starts to give them money directly, and that maybe they'll probably come up in either September or October,
yes,
when they will start receiving monies.
Directly.
Yeah, it's not far from now.
Yes.
Let's just wait and see what will happen.
Yes.
But even at that, it is the responsibility of both the state government and the local governments to ensure governance,
Yes.
and to ensure that the people feel governance,
Yes.
which is taking pressure away from the federal government, which
Yes.
everybody sees that is. Now, to be able to do that, what are expected? What are things expected?
Well, like I said earlier, there is more awareness by the people now. If you look at the conversation going on in the media space everywhere, this kind of conversation will keep happening. It has been happening, and I'm glad that we are discussing this today, on Talk Point. And I know that this conversation will not even stop here. So what that means is that there is awareness already. People will, going forward, people are already holding state governors, accountable for what they are receiving. And I like what the federal government is doing. And I would say that they should keep at it. Each month, once you distribute money, tell us how much you have distributed to the states. Tell us how much is going to the local government. Because, once we know all of these figures, it means that we know what to question, what to ask from them. And we know that, look at some of these palliatives that the federal government is sending to the states. By the time the people know about it, one of the reasons why we now have this awareness is that one of the reasons why we have these questions being asked by everyone is because people now know what goes to the state. Like the NG cares I told you about, I was able to quote. I found that, okay, Ondo State, for example, received so amount, Nasarawa and all of that. So once we have all of this information in our kitty, it means that we can now ask questions. And, the media is there for people to, express their views, to hear their opinions about what is happening in their states and all of that. So I want to say that another way forward is that people should not stop, because we have, citizen participation. Citizens and people, residents of states across the federation have the right to question the government officials. And that's where the check and balance comes in. And although we have the State House of Assemblies to ask all of these things, but we don't leave it to the State House of Assemblies. The people has the responsibility, and that's one of the responsibilities as citizens, to ask questions. This money that is coming to you, what have you used it for? Local government chairman, what are you doing in our locality? I was surprised when I saw that even local government under this constitution, Schedule 4 of the Constitution, has the right to invest in agriculture. I was very surprised when I saw it. So all of these things, if local government has the constitutional backing to invest in agriculture, why not go into agriculture?
Let me ask this question, because since you have mentioned it, it's good that we just quickly nail it. Do states have to wait to go into agriculture? Do they have to wait on the government or the state governments to go into agriculture because they're closer and they have the land?
Yes.
Do they have to wait on the states to know that they need to provide food for the people in their constituents or in their community?
Well, you see, that's where that's why I'm happy that we are actually getting to this stage. What we have seen in the past is that our leaders and people who voted into office are not ready to do anything. It's very unfortunate.
Maybe some of them.
It's not a general statement.
Yes.
It's not a general statement. Some of them will wait until they are being pushed. When I say pushed, I mean until people ask questions, until people, say, what are you doing with our money? And like I said, I'm sure that some local government officials or maybe chairmen are not even aware that local governments can invest in agriculture. And that's why conversations like this are good. And, as it is going on in different media space and all of that. So now that we know, we can also, push them to do all of these things because the resources are available. Like you mentioned, the land is available across local government. Lagos State has done well so far. Lagos State does not have the land. But what have been doing over the years? We've heard of Lake Rice. Lake Rice means that Lagos State Kebbi. That's partnership that worked. We saw the rice, and Lagos State was able to subsidize when the rice came in. Lagos State now has a Immortal Rice Mill, and so on and so forth. So all of these things, if Lagos State does not have land and are partnering with other states, what about states that has land? What is the excuse? I've seen where in recent times, Kwara State has been distributing farm inputs for farmers, so that agricultural, projects can be encouraged among farmers in that state. Just a few days ago, they distributed farm inputs fertilizers, and all of these things that can help farmers, to 10,000 farmers in Kwara State. We saw what Governor Bago is doing in Niger State, massive agricultural intervention, massive. And that's how Lagos State was able to go into partnership with Niger State presently. So if all of these states, all these resources are available, now we've talked about increase in allocation. That means some money can be taken out from all of this monthly allocation and be invested into farm inputs and be invested into agriculture.
Let me ask you this question. It may sound very funny and somehow, but let me ask you, the Ikeja local government that we are in now.
Yes.
There is no land again.
Yes.
Can the Ikeja local government cultivate or engage in farming as we speak?
Yes, they have. They can. That's the explanation that came in with Lagos State partnering. We have lands in Ogun State. If you are even driving from Songo, maybe you are going to Ilaro or Ifo, there are still lands available in those places. It's a matter of priority. It's a matter if the local government, Ikeja local government chairman, is interested in doing all of these things. Just drive. Just leave from Sagam Interchange. If you are going to Abeokuta, those are closer areas. Even on this Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, when you enter, there are all these places called Papa and all of that. So if the local government chairman is interested, it's about doing some feasibility studies, and ensuring that they look for land, hectares of land, grow crops, and it's not even necessary, it's not even compulsory that they buy the lands. All these lands are available for lease. You can lease some of these lands for 10 years, 15 years, and thereabout to reduce your cost. If you are buying, it's more expensive than when you are leasing. So when they lease all of these lands, they can plant. And at the end of the day, harvest. It's not necessarily, government is not, established for profit. So what they can do is that bring in food, subsidize for people within the Ikeja local government. And that's what Lagos State has done.
I want to take you up on that. The government is not for profit, but let's take, for instance, Ikeja local government or any local government puts in 10 million.
Yes.
You don't expect that local government not to have more than 10 million because its expenses, their expenditure, and it has to recoup some of those monies.
You see, when I say government is not for profit, when government, maybe for example, the example we are using, the Ikeja local government invests 10 million. I don't think that the mindset of the local government should be that 10 million will yield 20 million or 15 million. The mindset should be that people are hungry, people want to eat, and this Ikeja local government residents are not excluded. So what we can do is this: when our yam come, for example, instead of people buy yam in the market for, look at what Lagos State government did some months ago. This Onjeku, that they have a separate market on Sundays and in different locations across the state. What the state did was subsidize food. Even though the state didn't plan it, they bought the food. Instead of you buying 1 tuber of yam in the market for 1,500, you can go to that market and buy 1,000 naira. So the Ikeja local government, after planting and bringing all this harvest into the local government, they can subsidize. At the end of the day, they will definitely make some profit. But the motive should not be for profit making. That's what I'm saying. It is for the people, to ameliorate the sufferings of the people.
Okay, yes. I just thought I should ask that so that we can have clarification.
Yes.
Our time is not really on our side. In 30 seconds, your take on for them.
Well, I want to encourage state government, state governors, and local government chairmen to ensure that all these monies that are being accrued, that they are getting monthly, should be used judiciously for the people. It is not about the federal government alone. If Nigeria will move forward, if we experience even development in Nigeria, the federal government, the state government, and the local government has a whole lot to do.
Yes, I want to thank you so much, Lekan Oni, for being part of Talk Point.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, on that note, we have come to the end of Talk Point. 767 and 112 are still the lines to always call in times of emergency. Stay out of trouble. Remember, patriotism will get you better Nigeria. Ensure that you're a patriotic Nigerian, as the government too must also play its part to ensure that it satisfies the yearnings of the people. I am Omololu Rosawo, saying bye-bye.